and welcome to What is the Difference Between Employee Engagement and Employee Happiness? My name is Matt Phelan. I'm co-founder of a business called The Happiness Index, and I'm here with Aaron. Would you like to introduce yourself, Aaron?
Yes, thank you, Matt. My name is Aaron McKenzie. I am an advisor on culture, organisational development, which is based on a number of years of experience in HR director roles, chief people officer roles.
Brilliant. Thanks, Aaron. So let's get into the start of it, which is at the Happiness Index, we see happiness as what the heart needs and engagement is what the brain needs. But Aaron, you have a really nice way of explaining it in even more human terms around fuel. Can you just talk us through that, please?
Yeah, for me, we all know what engagement in the workplace is. That is about the commitment of colleagues to do their role really well. But if you don't refuel colleagues, that commitment can certainly deplete over time. And happiness is the key. It's your refueling, if you like. If you can build a happy place to work, it refuels your employees, maintains their engagement levels, and indeed their commitment to the work that they do.
Well, thanks, Aaron. And obviously, we talked about needing both to create a thriving culture. Could you give us a practical example from your career on where you've had to get both of those in place?
Yes, I can remember one organisation, a bank that I worked for, and we were doing a major organisation restructure. And we worked really hard to ensure the colleagues were on board. The communications was second to none. But actually, in time, what I saw were a number of employees suffering from well-being problems, burnout, and so on. And I couldn't really understand why, given such high levels of engagement, colleagues were feeling in that way. And it was only afterwards, really, that I realized that most of them felt very unsafe, if you like, underneath all of that change. They felt their jobs were at risk and so on. So I realized ultimately they simply weren't happy. Engaged, yes. Unhappy, yes, also. And in time, what that leads to is sort of an overall burnout feel within an organization if you don't refuel.
Yeah, it's really useful, practical example, Aaron. And for everyone tuning in, the top 4 drivers of happiness from the Happiness Index data is psychological safety, freedom to take opportunities, positive relationships, and feelings of acknowledgement. They're the things that fuel that happiness. Aaron, you mentioned safety in that last bit. Could you just talk us a bit about anyone who's listening, if they're trying to work on psychological safety, any tips internally for people on that?
Well, probably a good case in point, and I'm sure many CPO, HR people generally have seen this happen when leaders, for example, think that they're being great leaders by saying, speak up, come and talk to me, my door is always open. And actually, when colleagues take them up on that challenge, what I see very often is a leader will either explain away the challenges that the individual is talking about, or at worst, actually start to brand that individual a troublemaker. And for me, that's speaking up sort of request, if you like, for me is a red flag, because actually the work should have happened much further down the line. The way that colleagues can be encouraged to speak up is actually through a culture of collaboration, inclusiveness. That's when their voice should be heard. It shouldn't be at the very end of something when something goes wrong or something's not working. So for me, if I see a leader encouraging people to speak up, for me, their response is likely to lead to a reduction in psychological safety because of the way they react to challenges that then come through.
That's really useful. So we've got that right. If we've got the 4 factors of happiness, the top 4 factors in the Happiness Index model of engagement are clear direction, enablement to succeed, aligned meaning and purpose, and opportunities to grow. opportunity to grow as an entrepreneur is the most important one to me, as lots of people. Could you just talk us through how you can help a team or a company feel that opportunities to grow part, please, Aaron?
Yes, because we can't all be these golden CEOs, Matt, of course.
Don't make me blush. That's not true.
But the reality is that most people most humans have an innate need to move forward with their lives. And when people feel in a rut, it can really lead to, again, depletion and happiness in the workplace. So I guess the question then is, well, what can organizations do to ensure that colleagues do have the opportunity to grow, particularly in smaller and medium-sized organizations where maybe the opportunity to do that is less opportunistic, if you like, relative to big organizations. So the thing there is that there are a number of obvious things to do, making sure your training budget's up to some level of good funding. You can ensure career paths are in place, and make sure that there's some form of progression scale. But for me, really, a lot of the answers lie in the less obvious type interventions, and some of those will be ensuring that roles are not overpacked with responsibility so that people do have the space to grow. You don't get this pushback that I'm just too busy to learn new things. We should ensure collaboration and inclusion right across the organization. And the main way of doing that is through project work. To include people in projects is a great way to learn further. And I guess the last one for me is making sure that the value of lateral career moves is valued as high as progressive ones up a hierarchy. Too often people feel progression is only measured the more senior you are, but the reality is the richer the experience that you get in lateral moves will help you much more in future career growth, and will give you the same sense of satisfaction ultimately and happiness ultimately.
Wow, Aaron, we want to keep this short and sharp. You've certainly helped us understand the difference between employee engagement and employee happiness. And in summary, thank you for taking us through the factor to do with happiness, which is around psychological safety, and the engagement factor of opportunities to grow. And thank you to everyone tuning in. The end.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.